guys, and welcome to another video. Today we are doing a 24-hour readathon to get through some of my TBR books for the end of the month. Today we are September 28th, so that only gives me 2 more days before the month is over. So we need to get through some of these books, and I also have the time. I just got back from this trip where I thought maybe I would get some reading done, but I really didn't at all. So there's still lots of books from my TBR to read. So I thought first we could just go through them, show you guys the books that are left on my TBR, which books we might be reading today, and then which books I'm going to be focusing on and why. Okay, so these are all the books on my TBR that I haven't read yet. Okay, so the first book is Rune and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. This book would finish a series for me, and it's really fast paced, so that is definitely a really strong contender to read today. These 3 books have been, I feel like, repeat offenders on my TBR list, so they have been selected multiple times for TBR and I still haven't gotten to them. So for that reason, for me, it's like a pretty big priority to read them, just because I don't want to keep putting them on my TBR. And those 3 are Powerless by Lauren Roberts, Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, and Air of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. The next book is Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas, which comes in after Air of Fire in the Throne of Glass series. So depending if I read Air of Fire, love it, and just really need to continue the series, I might pick this up. And then I have 2 more, and they are Love Interest, if I need a little romance break, and The 7-Year Slip, also if I just like need to switch it up. Those are all the books on my TBR. These I will get to if I need to get to, but the other 4 are a much bigger like priority for me. But if I need to switch it up with a romance, I have those, or if I really get into the Throne of Glass series, then that's also an option. These are the books that I hope to read in this 24-hour readathon. I don't know if I'll be able to get to all of them. They're pretty lengthy books. They're all like fantasy books, so I'm not exactly sure if I can read 4 of them. I've done a readathon before, and I think I read only 3 books. They also weren't too long. However, I will say that I have started these 3 books, so that may help us. I'm at like page 220 or something on Air of Fire, page almost 100 I think in Golden Sun, page like 60 in Powerless. So, and then I haven't started Rune and Rising, but it is fast paced. So my goal is to finish these 4 books, but if we get derailed, we'll get derailed. I think for me it's more important to finish the 24 hours and do a good job with it and read as many books as I can than to strictly stick to these. Okay, so I think that was it for my little pre-24-hour spiel. Our first book is going to be Air of Fire, because it is like my current read. I'm 222 pages into it, chapter 27. I'm really liking it so far. This book has been really great so far. I've been loving to get the new characters, and we're still like doing all of the preparation and the training, and like I just love that in romantasy books, fantasy books. I just think that part of the series, or that part of the book, is still super fun. So 220 pages in, I would guess my reading update is just that we have so many different storylines we're following. We have 4 different storylines that we're following, and so they're completely in different areas. Well, 2 of them are in the same place, but they're all in like basically they're doing their own thing. They're in different areas, and so each chapter will take place from a different one. So it's like 27 chapters, but if you divide that by 4 POVs, you're left with like 7 chapters in like each POV. So it feels like I would be at like the 7th chapter in like each POV, which like you don't get too much done in 7 chapters, if that makes sense. Some things have happened. It's been good so far, but I definitely, you know, when you feel the book kind of picking up, I'm definitely feeling that, and so I think this is gonna be a great one to start with, and then we'll see where we go from there. I'm looking at my stack, and I think my plan is to read Powerless in the nighttime. I have heard such great things about it and think I'm gonna really like it, and it sounds really fast-paced, really gripping. It sounds like one that you could potentially just not put down, so I think I'm gonna save this one for the middle of the night. And then my other 2, my game plan is essentially to just maybe go back and forth between the 2 a little bit. I loved Red Rising. Golden Sun has been a lot slower for me, and that's okay, but I might read like 50 pages then need like a bit of a break. And kind of the same thing with Rune and Rising. It is fast paced, but I've said this in another reading vlog where I read Siege and Storm. I just don't really care much for the characters, so it's hard to get super invested, and so I may just be doing a little almost like a tandem read between the two, just like 50 pages in this one, 50 pages in this one, and so on. But we'll see. Hopefully they're good, hopefully they're gripping, and when I start reading them I'll just kind of read them through, so we'll see. I just want to touch base a little bit on the game plan of the books, and I think that's it. I think we're ready to start our timer. It is 11:08 a.m. right now. It's a little late to be starting this, but I didn't set an alarm today, and like I said, I just got back from that trip where I didn't sleep at all, so I've been just catching up on some Z's. Let's go.
We were on the right side, looking out the left side, right.
Hi guys, a little update. I've been reading for about 2 hours and I just got to a bit over 300 pages. I'm on part 2, Air of Fire, of this book. It has been honestly so good. It's still in that like building up phase, but we definitely got a lot of progress in the last like almost 100 pages, and we got some action scenes. It was super fun. Honestly, just having a great grand old time reading this. I am officially past the halfway mark. There's like 550 pages in here, so I'm at 300. 250 pages left. Yeah, we'll see how long it takes to finish it, but honestly so far so good. It's been really fun. It's been really great. I feel like I'm definitely to that part of the book which is just, I don't know, I'm just like flying through it. Like every time I check for like a page count, I'm like 10 pages ahead, which is always a really great sign when reading, because if you're checking every page it sort of feels like that's when you know it's taking a really long time. But yeah, anyways, about 2 hours in, and yeah, that's our first check-in.
We got lost in the night, and right then took a little trip. Down came the drip, yeah, rain down for us. We were on the right side, looking out the left side, right. When we got lost in the night, and right then took a little trip. Down came the drip, yeah, rain down for us. And when that rain comes down, it's like the pain goes away for a while, so we're all in the clear now. So tell me how you feel, are you better with me?
Hi guys, sorry for the lighting change, but it's been a few hours of reading. I'm in the last few chapters of Air of Fire, still reading this. We are now at 15 and a half hours on our timer left to read. Something crazy just happened in one of the storylines. I just finished chapter 63, and yeah, I thought we could just read the last couple chapters together, and then I'll chat about my thoughts, do a little recap, and then we can start our next book together.
We were on the right side, looking out the left side, right. When we got lost in the night, and right then took a little trip. Down came the drip.
I did not see that coming. Oh my gosh.
We were on the right side, looking out the left side, right. When we got lost in the night, and right then took a little trip. Down came the drip, yeah, rain down for us. And when that rain comes down, it's like the pain goes away for a while, so we're all in the clear now. So tell me how you feel, are you better with me? So raise it eyes to the sky and hold it higher than it can.
This is crazy.
These fish get bigger if you just keep swimming up. And now I'm drowning in daydreams. Only one to blame is me. I think I kinda like it like that. Yeah, I think I kinda like it like that.
Oh my gosh. Get into him.
You only wanna save me 'cause I think you kinda like it like that. Yeah, I think you kinda like it like that. We were on the right side, looking out the left side.
Do you ever read a book, like a fantasy book at the end, and like a character is in like peril and they have a chance to run away and they just don't, and I'm just like, just run away. Like, that's so frustrating. And now look at all the trouble you got into because you wouldn't just run away when you could.
And when that rain comes down, just like a hurricane, yeah, nothing but smoke breaks and Saturdays through my name. And I'm trying to fight off the signs, wondering where we went wrong, but there's solace in every line. No, it's our time.
That was a lot. That was a lot of fun, but that was a lot to read. That was really intense. It was so good though. I feel like I don't have much to add to what I was saying before, that it is very much just building up the story, building up the backstory, learning about new characters and their backstories, but I will say that I felt like it did a really good job of that. I feel like there's a lot of characters in here, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like the author did such a great job at kind of making us understand all of the characters, giving each character proper depth and proper backstories, which I feel like I'm so bad at like knowing which character is what and everything like that, but I feel like in this series now I do know all the characters, I know how they all link together, like all of that stuff, all of their stories and everything. I feel like it was made really clear. It was lots of fun. I felt like every storyline was really good. Like I said before, there's like 4 different storylines, and I guess I did favor some more than others, but it was never like, ugh, we have to go into this storyline now. You know, sometimes when you read a book and there's just one you don't really care for or you don't really like. That wasn't the case with this one. I also never felt like we were in one storyline for too long. When there was a lot of action in one of the storylines, you did stay there for like maybe 2, maybe 3 chapters at the most, but it was like really interesting and stuff was happening. Or if it wasn't, if it was just building up like, and it was a bit slower paced, you would just get like 1 chapter on it, and then you would move on to a different storyline, and even if that one was just building it up, you would just get 1 chapter on it, so it didn't really feel like it was necessarily too slow at any point. I will also say that the friendship in here that you see is just so sweet. It's so sweet. Oh my gosh, to see it like develop from the beginning on, oh, it was so good. It was so good. I don't really want to say too much because this is the 4th book in a series, but it's just 2 characters that have a lot of walls built up and they just tear them down, and to have that in like a friendship like that was so sweet. And the way that like one character cared for the other, like when they got like injured or sick and stuff, was just so sweet. I don't know, I love that. I was swooning over this friendship. It was so nice. In terms of a rating, I don't think it's like a 5 stars, just because I feel like it just didn't give me that like 5-star feeling, but it was really good. A 4 star is like too low. I feel like this would be like a 4.5 star for me. That's where it's sitting right now. We'll see if it changes by the end of the readathon, or maybe in my monthly wrap up it might change, but I feel like right now after finishing the book, a 4.5 is probably where I'm sitting. It was so good. It was so good. I just loved learning about all the different characters. Like, she did such a great job at that, and like that's not easy to do because there's so many different characters. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. It definitely is tempting to go into the next book in the series, but it was just like a lot. The series is a lot, and I think that that's what makes it so good, so I wouldn't change that necessarily, but I think especially in a 24-hour readathon, I don't want to read 2 of them, so that was really good. I feel like I read it really slowly. I feel like the pace, I don't know, I feel like I read the first 80 pages not like quickly, but like way quicker than I read the rest of them. I feel like then I was kind of really slowed down for some reason, I don't know why. But anyways, so we just hit the 15-hour mark finishing this, which means that we spent 9 hours reading it. Reading the, I think it was 300 pages when we started. Almost 350 pages. Took me 9 hours. So we're 8 p.m., so time to pick our next book. I think I'm going to save Powerless for a little bit later on in the evening. I know I said I wanted to do that for like my evening read, but I think if I start it now, I'll be done at like 4 or 5 in the morning. I want to read this one a little bit later. I think right now I just want a bit of a faster pace read just because I felt like that one, Air of Fire, just took me a little while. So I think I'm gonna read Ruin and Rising next. I think I might get like halfway through it and then switch over to Powerless for the middle of the night and then maybe come and finish this one, depending how we're feeling. I have heard people like this one like the best in this series, so if I'm really into it, then I'll probably just stick with it, and then when I'm done it, I'll switch to Powerless. And then, yeah, read Golden Sun at the very end, if there's any time left. So I think that's the game plan for now.
Pick a movie, I'll pick you up, we'll go eat sushi. Or we'll go downtown, with our best moves we can boogie. Oh my, we both look so fly, like sweet apple pie. Yeah, they want a piece of us. My oh my, when we drive on by, they just can't deny. Yeah, they wanna be like us. Na, 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 na.
Hi guys, a little reading update. So the last time that we chatted, I was starting Ruin and Rising, which I have. Timer is currently almost at 10 hours left of reading, 14 hours down, which is pretty crazy. So I was reading Ruin and Rising and I got 170 pages in, and I was just definitely starting to feel tired. Energy levels were definitely going down, focus was going down, so just like I said, it's not my favorite series, and it's currently 1 in the morning. So I decided to then switch up, as my plan was to read Powerless in the middle of the night because I thought that it would just be a better book for me to get through, just because I kind of suspected it just like grabbing my attention, a bit more action that I was invested in, if that makes sense, or just being invested in the book in general, in the characters, which I'm happy to report is true. I am 133 pages in and I've been reading this for the past little while. It's really good so far. I'm really loving it. So a little reading update for Ruin and Rising for the first 170 pages. First of all, they flew by. In this book, I read about a page a minute, a bit more than a page a minute, whereas in Air of Fire I was reading a page every like minute and a half. So really different pace, especially if you're reading an entire book. This one definitely starts out with a bang. It's a lot more fast-paced than the other books. It's a lot more interesting. However, I'm still just like not really invested in the characters. I'm just not invested in the story overall, even though now there's a lot more going on and it's a lot more action-packed. But that being said, I'm still enjoying it. Even though I'm not super invested in the characters, if I were invested in the characters, I would enjoy it a lot more. But it's still a good time so far, and I'm like a third of the way through the book or something, so I made some pretty good progress with this. If I have some time left over at the end of the timer, I will finish it, but I do plan on finishing Powerless before switching out to another book. Powerless, on the other hand, has been so good. It has definitely picked up from, I mean, I guess it does start pretty fast-paced, but I was annotating this book really heavily when I started it, like writing in the margins type of annotating, and so it felt really slow to me just because I was really taking my time with it. But then since picking it up, I'm still annotating it, just like passages that I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this, or passages where the romance is really hitting. I will say there's a lot more interaction between our two main characters than I thought there would be, which I'm really liking. Yeah, just whenever any scene that they're together interacting is so good, which is honestly most scenes, which really surprised me. That is my update right now. 1:06, we are at the 10-hour mark. I don't know how many reading updates I'm gonna do in the middle of the night. I'm so tired. But this book is really good. Like when I'm laying down and like reading this book, I don't feel tired, but my eyes were starting to shut when I had this one. So I'm glad that I saved this one for now, and I'm hoping that I can just get really into it and not even notice the time passing. Hi guys, good morning. I didn't make it through the night. I stopped at 4:30 in the morning, so my timer is at 6.5 hours. I paused it before going to sleep, and we're just gonna keep going. I just kept on reading the same passages over and over again, and all the words became blurry because I've been reading for so long and I just like couldn't read anymore. I've done a 24-hour readathon successfully in the past, and oddly enough I had started that one when I had gotten home from work, and it was like I don't know, like 8 or 9 p.m. This did not work out well. Starting at 11 a.m. was not the move. But anyways, I have gotten up to page 260 in this book. It's really, really good. Going to sleep was definitely not the fault of this book. I actually felt so sleepy like hours and hours before, but honestly, this book really, really helped. So that was really amazing. The romance in this book is so good. The romance is like my little purple tab. Anyways, so we are gonna sit here for the rest of the day, for the rest of the 6.5 hours. I'm hoping I can finish this. Let's get to it. Just a little reading update. I am at page 404 with almost 2.5 hours left on the timer. Honestly, so far it's more of the same, which I'm not complaining about. This is definitely the romantasy that I've read with the most romance. Really enjoying it. It's really good so far. As we can see by my many, many tabs, it's so good. Yeah, I think so far I'll be able to just finish the book as the timer is finishing. I think it's going to be really close, which is really great. And yeah, it's almost 2:30 in the afternoon. We're still reading, still going strong. Alrighty, I guess I'll check in a little bit later.
Tag in the jacuzzi. We'll go upstairs. With our best moves we get groovy. My oh my, we both look so fly, like sweet apple pie. Yeah, they want a piece of us. My oh my, when we drive on by, they just can't deny. Yeah, they wanna be like us.
We're all done. The 24 hours. Oh my goodness. Okay. Alright guys, I'm just going to do a quick little recap of the 24-hour readathon before ending this video. So as you guys saw, the first book that I read was Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. I really love this book. I don't really want to get too much into it just because it's the 4th book in a series, but you can definitely tell that this is, I think, the last book of setting the scene for the entire rest of the series, which has 4 more books, but they're really long books, so definitely a lot of good setup, but didn't feel like a chore. Sometimes when you're doing it, because the world building's already done, you're just kind of starting everybody's storylines, just getting that all into gear and introducing other characters and so on. So I didn't feel like it felt redundant, which is often the case with these types of storylines. I love this book. I gave it a 4.5, and I would stand by that. This has been a readathon, so I haven't really like thought down and like thought of the book, but maybe that'll change in the monthly wrap-up. But it was so good. I'm definitely sticking for a 4.5 for now. Okay, the next book that I read is Rune and Rising. I got to page 170 in this book. I put this down because I was starting to fall asleep. I needed something that would be a little bit more engaging for me. Personally, this series isn't my favorite, and I'm kind of just reading it at this point to get to the Six of Crows duology, and I've heard that this one is people's favorite in the series, and I've put the legwork to read the other 2, so I may as well read this one. I will say that this one definitely starts out with a bang. It's a lot. There's a lot more going on. I'm actually really excited to keep on going with this. I actually dog-eared a page in this, which is like the first time I have felt the need to like note anything down from the series, but it was just because it was really funny. She just goes, "It won't work, I reassure myself. You'll try, you'll fail, you'll have a little nap." I don't know, the way that was written, I just thought that was so funny. It's so unexpected. I don't know, it was so weird and random, but I thought that was so funny. You'll try, you'll have a little nap, you'll move on, you know? Anyways, that's not really important or the point of anything, but I just thought it was funny, so I wanted to share. This book is also so fast-paced. I feel like I read 107 pages in like something like 3-4 hours or something, so pretty fast for me. Anyways, yeah, so I definitely think I'm gonna finish this up hopefully before the end of the month, but something like that very, very soon. Okay, the next book that I read, and the main book that I read, because I had already started Heir of Fire. So the main book that I read in this video is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This book was really, really good. I really, really liked it. All the things that were in here. The ending of this, also a lot of plot twists. One, I'm still like in shock and in disbelief. I'm like, I really, when I was reading it, I was like, no, this didn't actually, there's a workaround. Something else is gonna happen here. This isn't actually how it ends up. So yeah, lots of plot twists towards the end, which was pretty crazy. I definitely think some of them we could have seen coming a little bit, but like, that's fine. It it didn't really bother me. But yeah, one of the plot twists really got me. And I don't love it. I'm still kind of hoping that it's not true, even though it definitely is. I do have one little gripe with this book. This has like a Hunger Games sort of trial to it, idea of people going through like a trial and battling it out. Obviously it's very common. We have it with certain Wings of the Night. People are like, that's Hunger Games with vampires. And we had Red Rising, which might have even come out before the Hunger Games, I don't know, and that's like Hunger Games in space. So this isn't a novel concept, but they do have a similar thing in here, and the way that it's written to me just was really reminiscent of the Hunger Games. Like, just like details of it I felt were really reminiscent of the Hunger Games, but just in the way that the games were like depicted and the specifics about that. As for the book overall, it was so good. I honestly really enjoyed reading it, and I'm kind of glad that I got to read it essentially in one sitting. I know I didn't actually read it in one sitting, but it definitely felt like it. It's just real escapism. Honestly, this kept me awake for like 4 hours more than any other book would have. So if that doesn't sell you, I don't know what will. In terms of a rating, I feel like right now it's sitting at like a 4.25 if we're gonna get specific about it. I feel like it's more than a 4 stars, but I don't know if it's quite a 4.5 for me. I don't know, maybe it'll be a 4.5 in the wrap up, but I think for now it'll be a 4.25, and we'll see where it goes from there. Genuinely, like, I liked everything about this book. It was really good. So these are all the books that I read during the 24-hour readathon. This definitely helped make a dent in my TBR, which was the goal. We got quite a ways through, almost halfway through Ruin and Rising, which is the last book in a trilogy, and then Air of Fire. Really happy to continue on in the Throne of Glass series. I definitely feel like this 24-hour readathon was successful. Even though I didn't make it through the night, I still read for 17 and a half hours straight yesterday, which was really great. So much fun. Very happy with this readathon. Really successful. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!